guys, it's Andrea with Sucs For You in Houston, Texas, and I wanted to make an update video on those propagation leaves we started back on September 25th. So today being December 8th, that is about 11 weeks, and we've had a lot of good progress in that time. Some of them are ready to be transplanted, and I wanted to demonstrate, what to do next with them. In the last video, we talked about how to water them, and now we're going to talk about what we do when they're ready to be put into their own pots. So here's that saucer we started, and it is, full of new growth, which is awesome. Some of the leaves did get a little bit, too much light because I had to move them into my garage under the grow lights, and or nearby the grow light. But it still turned out to be a little too much, or else most of these would have still looked more like this, like greener leaves. This guy is not ready to transplant. I'm gonna leave him on for a while longer, but let's find one that is. This one looks about ready to go. See how withered that leaf is? It's not quite dry yet, but just for demonstration purposes, it's not going to take much effort at all. It just comes right off. And then all we do, have a pot already ready to go. And what I do like to do, actually, because their stems are so tiny, if they exist at all, and they'll just kind of flop over, is just put a little bit of organic dirt on top of a fast draining soil. And what that does is it's going to help give it a little more support. Since we are actually going to be removing some leaves from the plant, it could cause a little damage, and so I don't want to introduce any water. But as you can see, I just literally put just a very thin topping of this organic soil. So we've got our pot ready, and I'm just going to go through and find some of the leaves that are ready to transplant, or new plants. This leaf is, it's withered, it's dried up, it definitely got a little too much light, as I mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and just gently pull it off. That's done. And then find a little spot in our new pot. Very simple, push a little dirt around it, and if it flops over a little bit or something, you can use just use like a little rock to prop it up, and it might only take like a week or so before that little guy gets his roots down and is able to support himself. I think a lot of those are going to be like that. You're going to have where this one, the leaf already dried and came off, so we've just got the stem right there. If you need to, you can take off a couple of the lower leaves if it's just too close to the edge, too close to the roots, if you're worried about them rotting. But I'm not going to be watering it, so I'm just going to go ahead and bury those too. And like this guy, he needs more time on his leaf. It's still pretty plump, not very withered, so I'm going to give it more time there. Put him back in the saucer. And this one right here. Again, these leaves aren't dry yet. I can either leave it on a little bit longer until the leaves actually dry, or I can just go ahead and twist it off. I'm going to leave this one on too. This one got bumped by me, and it actually knocked the little stem off. So what I'm going to do is just set this back in the saucer, and it will root. See, and but I don't want to put it in here, because if I start watering this before this one has roots and this is in there, then it can rot. I'm going to put you back in there. This one got really crispy. And it's pretty small, but I am going to take off part of that leaf and see if I can't keep the dry leaf to stay attached to the plant, and then just kind of bury the dried leaf with the plant, and eventually it'll just, fall off, become part of the dirt itself. this guy to stand up a little more. The tweezers come in really handy when you're handling all the little tiny stems, and to avoid like grabbing the roots. So most of these, well, here's another one that has a nice little dry leaf that we can work with. I know the next question, of course, goes back to the original video of when do we water these? We learned how to water when they're just leaves. Do we water them? Do we wait for roots? We wait for roots. So now, again, we're going to wait for these guys to get settled in, give any wounds from, you know, removing any leaves, or maybe, you know, breaking a couple little roots in the process of transferring these to a new pot. Give those a few days to heal, and then we can start watering them, you know, lightly. You just want to moisten the soil. So that's why I don't like to like pack a pot full, because they are going to grow. But when I do water them, I will aim just for the top of the soil. I'm going to avoid the plants, and I'm not going to saturate it. And then, of course, they are small plants, and they're going to need a little bit extra water to, like, more frequently, basically, than a mature plant, because they just simply don't have, like, a strong root system yet, a big enough root system. And I'm looking through to see if there's anyone else I want to move over there today. Let's see. You know, I really don't. Here's one more, actually, where the leaf is like really dry. So what happens is, if this leaf is completely dry and we don't start getting these roots used to being watered, the whole plant will dry out. So I'm just going to take off part of that leaf like I did before, and just pop it in right there. Perfect. So over the next week or so, some of these will be ready to pop into this pot. So I'll leave a little bit of room in there. And then I'll still, you know, then I'll need to wait like a couple days before I start watering the new ones that I add in. So, and we're working with dry soil. We don't water the soil when we repot or when we're doing a transfer of the propagations. You don't want to work with wet soil with most of the succulents. Again, it comes back to avoiding getting any bacteria into any little teeny tiny wounds. And now I'm just going to go back through and clean up dead leaves that have dropped off, duds. I didn't really have a lot of duds with these. Oh my gosh, I didn't even tell y'all. I had a little problem with some of these. It wasn't their fault, it was totally my fault. We had a very windy day, and I had a pot fall from the railing onto this tree, and I was pretty upset, but you know, obviously they're still doing okay. Get this little guy. You go in there. And it broke some leaves off of some other plants too. And actually, I think I should show you something that's pretty cool. Well, first, this is really cool. One of the plants that got damaged in the fall was an Orgealis, a Kalanchoe Orgealis, a copper spoon. And there's no new roots on the tip yet, but I flipped it over and looked the other day. We've got some new growth coming in at the base, and that was actually where there was a little damage to it. It fell on a cactus and it got poked. So, yeah, that's cool, right? Not especially Kalanchoes. Most of these types, like the rosettes, they will typically only propagate, you know, new growth from the tip of the leaf. But there's certain types of succulents that can start new growth like all along the leaf. And but from my experience, it's only been like where there's actually a physical damage to that leaf for some reason. So the wounds basically will produce roots and new growth. So just for the sake of this video, I wanted to just go ahead and demonstrate you watering. Again, I do highly suggest that you wait a couple days, 2-3 days or longer if you know your plants are still looking pretty perky, before you water them. But again, see, I'm just moistening the top. And then once these become more established, you'll be able to water them more frequently. And then once they become a little bit more mature, then you can actually cut back on watering. as much because they'll be able to hold more water in their leaves, in their stems as they grow. So the other cool thing I wanted to show you guys, when the wind knocked over that plant, this guy was also damaged. You can see his leaves were snapped and I was really upset. So Dremeopsis kirkii, it's also known as a giant squill, and it's a bulb plant. I'll get another angle for you. So here's the bulb. It's really cool. I should just make a video on these types of plants. They're really neat and very easy to grow for me. You can see it looks pretty sad right now. It does need some water, but again, since it's been cold, I've withheld watering my plants. It's warmed up again today. It's a nice day today, so I should go around and give everyone a drink. So when that fell, the leaves got snapped off. I was really upset, and I just kind of tossed them over into the side of the yard, and there's a bunch of like pebbles and stuff. And I decided the other day just to go like have a look, because sometimes I will just throw leaves and stuff over the edge. I was like, maybe I have some babies. Well, I wasn't expecting these to do anything, but when I looked, I was like, what is going on with those Dremeopsis leaves? There's something growing out of them. Again, where they broke, where they were damaged. And there's these cute little like bubbles coming out. I guess they're gonna be like tiny bulbs, and I've just been watching them over the last few weeks, like since I found them, and they're getting bigger. So that was actually like, that's in the middle of a leaf. And then there's several coming in at the tips right there. How friggin' awesome is that? And I got more here. So I'm really glad I went and looked, because I don't think they would have like survived the cold that we recently had. Who knows, maybe. So I just scooped up some of those pebbles, and I've been keeping it a little bit damp, trying to keep them warm, and just see what happens next with these guys. Once I figure that out, I will make a video on it. So neat. I was just going to show y'all real quick again in this video. This is the plant that I propagated those leaves from, Graptopetalum paraguayense, and you can see there's that white variegation, and they also get like pink and just beautiful colors. There's another little one growing in here. This is kind of a sad pot. It was crested and got a little banged up during the move. See what else is in here. This one is doing really well. That leaf right there. Since I left that one in there, I can just leave it in there and let it continue to grow. I don't have to transplant it into its own pot. It's fine where it is, and there's no reason for me to mess around with it, since it does seem to be doing very well. I hope this information helped. I appreciate you watching, and if you have any questions I didn't answer, you're welcome to leave them in the comments below. If you subscribe to this channel, if you haven't already, I do post fairly often on our community page, and I ask for your feedback and ideas about future videos. And again, I have my book, The Succulent Manual, is an ebook, and it covers all kinds of stuff, whether it's propagation, learning to identify your plants, troubleshooting, what you need to do to keep your plants happy, just depending on whatever climate you're growing in, and whether indoors or outside. So all kinds of good stuff in there. You can download it from my website. You can download it from Amazon, all kinds of other places. Again, that's The Succulent Manual, A Guide to Care and Repair for All Climates by Andrea Afra. Hi. And yeah, we'll do a little follow-up video with these guys. We'll take one last look, close up, and see the progress in a future video. Thanks for watching.